if you want me to monitor incoming, you need to promote me.
Yes, I'll do that. Okay. So appreciate everybody joining. We're going to do a little bit of show and tell, and I'm glad to see Joey is here because Joey was the one that suggested it, and I was hoping he would show. So we're going to take a look at, I'm sure, many pieces of rusted metal that were once amazing parts of World's Fairs on Joey's side. And then if anybody else has anything else they would like to show, Kathy, do you have one of those place settings, the table settings? Did you keep one of those from your event? The ones that Leslie was showing the other day? You're muted.
Still muted, Kathy.
Great. She went off to go get one. This is an event that Kathy did out here at the Disneyland Hotel, and she did some really nice place settings. And I was on a Zoom call on Thursday, and somebody had acquired one of them. I won't ask how, was showing it to people, and everybody else on the call was jealous. So I thought she did a really nice job on it. And if you want to see how you could build your own Unisphere at home, when she go gets one.
Ah,
So she's out searching. Oh, there she's back.
still muted.
You're muted, Kathy. You need, oh, there you go.
Okay. One of the things we gave away was a print from a Disney artist, does caricatures, and I had him, Carol Mumford and I had him at our last event, and everybody seemed to know him, all the Disney people. And can you see that?
Yeah. Oh, that's
Yeah.
nice.
That's very nice.
Find them for everybody. It was cute. Yeah. So.
Yeah, Walt and the posters. That's a great pose.
Yeah, and then these came too late. I asked Robbie Sherman. He had done some bootleg music sheets for one of our events that Disney told him he shouldn't do with the new, he had his hand slapped. The lyrics that were added on, I think, for the 40th of Small World, with the lyrics that Robert added on just before he passed away, his dad. Yeah. So that was cute, but they came to, well, he sent me a few, but they arrived too late. Next time.
Do you have one of the Unisphere table settings handy?
No, no, where's Leslie? Oh, she's at the
Yeah.
front mouse meeting.
You're not here today.
Yeah, no, I gave them all away.
Well, that they look really great. And another thing Kathy did, which was really great, was having a Walt photo opportunity. Do you want to talk about your Walt?
Oh yeah, you know what? Those are downstairs. Yeah, Walt standing by the two the World's Fair posters, that famous pose. A friend of mine, Tina, put it together, and she had searched all over for the perfect blue sweater that Walt was wearing, and she made a kind of a dickie out of the collar so people. And then she marked the floor where you would stand to be just like Walt. So it was really cool. She did a great job. It was really good.
Pictures look really great. Again, the people would just put on the fake tie, put on a sweater, stand there, and they were instant Walt. It was
yeah.
really
was fun. It was fun. And and then we're supposed to have the person I hooked up with about 2 years ago to bring his Moldarama machine from up in the Bay Area, and he just couldn't find a practical way to bring it. And two of my friends that were coming from up there, hey, we just met a guy with a Moldarama machine in an antique mall. And I said, yeah, I know him. And then he sent a bunch of them. People pre-ordered them, and he sent some extra sets. So he has all 8 Disney moles from the fair. So people like that, we had stuff to do. It was a busy day. Yeah.
When we did the Destination D23 rewind thing down at Disney World, I arranged for a Moldarama machine to be there. And I'll tell you, trying to get that approved through Disney Legal was absolutely astonishing. They weren't so worried about the copyright of making new World's Fair dinosaurs. They were worried about the plastic material that was used, the wax used to make it. We had to get all these data sheets and prove that if a kid took the dinosaur and ate its head, that he wasn't going to die and everything.
Seriously?
And then we had to get a study done of the outfusing of gases that were going to be released when the plastic was heated to a certain temperature. I mean, it was just incredible. And then we came to the realization that this thing will only make so many dinosaurs per hour, and we had so many people at the event. So we basically said, okay, if everybody looks under your chair, if you've got a red sticker, you get the chance to go get a dinosaur. But I mean, everything I had to put together, find a glider ride, no problem, so that sort of thing. But keep that just Disney legal on the plastic, but that dinosaur was astonishing.
Do you
Well,
remember?
they thought they were coming, last year when we were originally going to have it. So him and his wife sandbagged a bunch. He said, Kathy, even if I switch molds so they could do a few different ones, you're not going to get that many out. So they had complete sets ready to go. And like I said, I did a pre-order like a week before because Jeff and Julie were driving down. So it was a great opportunity. But they were freshly made, and I'm told they used some crayon wax to make the colors more vibrant. So it was pretty cool. The Disneyland Hotel was saving a whole corner for me to put that machine in. But, I think they were just so happy to have us. They might have had some groups cancel. I mean, the food was better than I've ever had there. I mean, I've gotten letters from people saying, wow, you don't expect it. It's like airplane food, Disneyland Hotel, but it was really, really good. So I think it was a don't ask, don't tell kind of with the machine. And when I hooked up with Christopher Crump was when he joined on, we were talking about copyrights because I asked him if he could, mass produce the Tower of the Four Winds. And he said, well, I have the plans here. I made my own model, but, so we get talking about Robbie Sherman sheet music and, Robbie learned now, don't ask, don't tell. It's easy to apologize, So I
Carol, are you
hope
going to talk about the mold machine?
Yeah, we have a couple of dinosaurs upstairs that we got at the Big E.
Oh, really?
Yeah, the fellow got one of the machines, and he had molds made, the Brontosaurus, and it says, the Big E or something on it. But what was interesting was, I think he was charging a quarter for it to make it, and it was sitting where Carol and I were talking to people about the World's Fair. Well, I said, I got to go make a dinosaur, and I put the quarter in, and the thing goes through all its machinations and pushes the mold together, and then a hose breaks. And liquid plastic, it has the big dome over the front where you're supposed to watch it. His hose is whipping around and plastic is going everywhere.
Wow.
And the only thing I could figure out to do is unplug it at that point in time. Because actually we made the first one and some kid came by, he thought it'd be really good to, have the thing mess up even more. So I had to pull the plug out. And the guy came in the next day and just looked at it. Oh no, not again, so those things are just a bear and a half to clean. The guy took forever, but yeah, we have 2 dinosaurs sitting on the shelf in our bedroom from the Big E. So great fun. Well, Joey, would you like to begin to show us some of the first 2 or 3 tons of your stuff?
There we go. Just let me know if you can see me because I'm setting it up.
We see your hand
Okay,
with a ring on.
right. How about now? Can you see me?
No, we see an empty table and a table lamp in the background.
Okay, let's see if you should be able to see me.
Oh, just a chair and a lamp.
How about now?
Nope.
No,
Wow, you can't see me. Okay. Let
No,
me.
A book called The Nazi Doctors.
It
How
looks
about
like a
now?
lamp in front of a window. That's the way the camera is pointing.
Oh, interesting. And you don't see me in the front at all?
Nope.
No,
Oh, okay.
lower
Joey's
your cloaking
playing
device.
his Invisible Man outfit from the fair.
Right.
Oh,
There you are, there you are. Oh, now your arm, your left arm.
Okay.
Ah,
How about
there
now?
we are. Now we see.
yeah,
Welcome to our little museum, and I want to show you some really fast some pieces that were stolen from. Were collected from the park. I'll just show you real fast because I want other people to get on. This is a piece of the New York, United States Pavilion. I don't know if you're seeing that. You seeing that okay?
Yeah.
Yeah. And that I had to climb over a fence to get that one. And this is when the pieces were coming back up when they were building the Arthur Ashe. So that was a really good one to get. This is a electrical baffle plate from the New York State Pavilion. See, we got a little hook on the inside that you can hang it. That's what. I pulled this out. This is, you probably saw I posted this once before, and I'll hold this up. This was Hasbro, I think, made this, and it's called the Kitchen Carousel. And it was made in 1969, 70, but it's based on, actually, it was called the World's Fair Carousel. And it was made for Barbie. And mine doesn't work, but this whole thing used to spin around. And there's little doors you can open where there's food, and you can get a cold drink. And it was actually based on a cross between Carousel of Progress and the Festival of Gas. So that's what that looks like. You know, I'll turn it around for you.
It does look very much like the display kitchen they had at the Festival of Gas Pavilion.
Yeah, they called it, Hasbro called it the kitchen of the future, but it was actually called the World's Fair Kitchen. Here's another piece. This is from the New York State Pavilion. This is one of the, it looks like a cannon light. And I think this was used during the rock concert period in the 70s. And this was very interesting because it has its own handle. So I was able just to walk out of the park with it.
Do you have a good source of incandescent light bulbs for it?
No, it actually, I have my blue globe, but I can't get it out of the table to display. This piece here, this big, heavy piece is not from the fair, but it is from the original Bellevue when it was a small, what they used to call insane asylum or bedlam. And this was, they were demolishing the building in order to make the new Bellevue. And I got that. And here's the other piece.
Wow.
See that?
That way.
Wow.
It weighs probably about 40 pounds.
Hmm.
And I had to have someone actually help me with a hand truck to take it to my car. And this piece I had posted just a little while ago. You all wanted to know what this is. This is one of the stairs from the New York State Pavilion. And this is really heavy. And thousands and thousands of people walked on this. This was pulled out. And I must thank a very dear friend of mine for saving it for me. That's what the other side looks like.
Was that from the towers or was that from the pavilion down below?
Yeah, that's from up on the towers.
Ah, cool.
And they're all pulled out now. So I'm wondering what they did with them all.
I think they built new staircases. I saw the pictures of them pre-cut and assembled on the ground that then they were lifting up to bolt together both in the tower and up on the observation decks.
Yeah, it's amazing. They gutted it. Everything that was formerly, I mean, we were the last people to get up there, the last civilians, if you were, to walk up there and get to the top and see it the way it had been for decades. And right after we left, we saw the notice they had to wait, but they were moving everything in to rip out the stairs. And on the way up, I was taking stuff that was easily torn away from. And my wife had said, you might want to think of tearing stuff off on the way down. So that's what I did. I saw what I needed to take, and most of this stuff is crumbling and very, very interesting. I was telling Charles Abar, when you get to the top, you can hear the entire structure groaning. You can hear the iron just groaning and shifting. The last two things I wanted to show you, I don't want to use up any more time. This is, you know, we have tons and tons of movie props that my dad had collected and passed on to me. This is a big foot from TV's The Outer Limits. This is the Architects of Fear episode.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and every time they needed one of these, they made many, and so they can just pull out if they needed a foot. They reused many times. You can see where the claws were put. And this was built by a genius of a man named Hua Chang.
Yeah, he made props for Star Trek.
Yeah, he invented he created the communicators. He created
the phaser.
Yeah, and he was a genius. He was a jack of all trades. He also created, if you watch Cleopatra, he created Elizabeth Taylor's headdress when she's coming into Rome, and that big headdress she's wearing. He also did the Time Machine, The Wonderful Worlds of the Brothers Grimm, and War of the Worlds, I believe. I think he worked uncredited. And this is the last thing I'll show you, part of our movie prop collection. This is a little, so if you can get that, this is a little Roman soldier from Ben-Hur.
Oh, neat.
1959. He has a little shield in there. And these were the little soldiers that you saw in the battle sequence in the galley. They were all like on top of the ship, and very, very interesting because most of the soldiers were running around like crazy trying to kill the Macedonian pirates. But when you see the ships in long shot, you just see them standing like this. And those are all the miniatures that were built in Rome. So that's about it. I can go get some more stuff out of the garage if you like.
Feel free while others are chatting. You know, I have to say, your wife, it was smart, you know, carry the stuff on the way down. And it reminded me of my mother. My brother Jim and I had gone out to Philmont Scout Ranch, and we went out, and they take you to a place where there were fossils, and you could take fossils, that sort of thing. We took that. There was also, you went to a former copper mine. We got all this rock with copper ore. So, and you had to carry it for the next 10 days, you know, as you go through Philmont. So it got very heavy. We took it home, and a couple of years later, I asked my mother, I said, where's all the stuff I brought back from Philmont? She goes, those stupid rocks, I threw them away. It was like,
Oh, no.
yeah, I said, go ahead, Mom, I carried 20 pounds of copper ore. You know? So somewhere in a landfill in Long Island, you know, someday some geologist is going to say, how the hell copper ore get, you know, a deposit of copper ore here on Long Island? So they'll probably think it was a glacier. Oh, great. Thanks, Joey.
You're welcome. Thanks, everybody.
Hey, Joey, real quick, for everything you've got, what's your most favorite acquisition?
Probably the pieces of the King Kong Brontosaurus that I have.
Mm-hmm.
Some pieces of that my dear friend Forey Ackerman, on my 2 trips to California when I was a kid, pieces of it were falling. It was kept very, very badly, and scored generations of monster kids would touch it, and he didn't have them in any cases, so they fell apart. And he gave me a big lump of that. So it's the original Brontosaurus that comes out of the swamp and attacks the men, the sailors. And if you watch that scene, you'll say to yourself, when a creature with a 30-foot neck is chasing you, you don't run up into a tree.
Where do you go, Joey?
You go under something.
Yes.
Yeah, watch the sequence again, because you know, of course, the brontosaurus eats the sailor that's kicking it, trying to kick it.
Yeah, kick it on the nose. That's what they always tell you. Like if you get attacked by an alligator, hit it on the nose or something. You know, if that's who has a presence of mind.
Right.
Great. Well,
Well,
thanks.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Who else would have something they'd like to show? Beth, I think you said you had some guidebooks. And what's the impressive building behind you?
Oh, that's part of the Biltmore. That's the entrance to the. I'm going to stop my virtual background though, because I think it's going to make it challenging when I show. So you got my junk room here, but I just brought some books that I love books. Anytime my family and I travel, we always get souvenir books. But I had several small ones from different fairs. So this is a little one. Can you see that? From the 1876 exposition in Philadelphia. It's very, very small, but it's got some nice pictures in it. So I love these kinds of little souvenir books. This one is from 1895 from the Cotton States exhibition in Atlanta, and I live in Atlanta. It's in very poor condition, but it does have some nice views. The book itself is nearly falling apart, but it does have some nice pictures in it. And then another small one from the Pan American Exposition here in Buffalo. It's a little bit thicker. It's maybe 50 or so pages, but it's got a lot of nice views in it, and you know, short descriptions. This one isn't really a souvenir book, but it's much bigger. Can you see that? It's a much thicker book. This is from the 1904 fair, and it's called The Official History of the Fair. It doesn't have a lot of pictures in it. It has some, but it's got a lot of like detailed descriptions of the fair and all the different exhibits. So I really like it. It's a little bit of rough condition, but it's got a lot of really good content. Let's see. This one is from the Panama Pacific Fair in San Francisco. Yeah. So I like
Very
these little
nice.
small books. You know, I just imagine people bought these and took them home. There are probably a lot of these. Yeah, I think I have 2 copies of this one. Even there are a lot of these out on eBay. They're pretty easy to find. And then one that's a little bit bigger from Philadelphia in 1926, so 50 years after the Centennial Exhibition. You know, same structure. It's got nice pictures. I've got the little envelope that this one came in too, so it's certainly suitable for mailing. And then I've got 2 books here from Chicago. I think this is the 33 book. There's a 33 and a 34, so similar size. This one's perfect bound. This one has a spiral binding. And the 33 book is mostly drawings. You know, it's very obviously just more concept art. Where the 34 book has a few pictures, you know, a lot of concept art, but it's much more detailed, and you know, some look like they were based on actual photographs. And then the last one I was going to show, this is a big one, and Bill, I think I posted a picture of this one time, and you may have said you had a copy of it. It says Dream City on it. Illustrated World's Columbian Exposition. It's from 1893, and it's a pretty hefty book. The binding isn't in good condition, but the pages are. So it's got these large photographs, black and white, just pages and pages and pages of photographs like that. So this is a really nice book. I'm very pleased to have this one. So.
Yeah, I have a few of those, and it's amazing how well the paper holds up on them, isn't it? For something that's 100 something years old. The binding, like on your last one, a lot of my bindings are just shot. But I bought recently a book scanner, because those pages are so big, you just can't, you know, put them in a regular you know, scanner, or you don't want to break the binding even more. But I bought a book scanner that takes out the curvature in the pages, and I want to start scanning some of those. And they're fascinating, you know, the amount of photos and everything. It's great history.
Yeah. I wish I knew the stories. You know, who bought those? What was their trip to the fair like? You know,
I bet they were expensive back then too.
I'm sorry.
I said they were probably expensive back then too.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, I just bought this morning, as a matter of fact, the guidebook to Expo 64, the one in Lucerne, Switzerland. So I've been trying to get guidebooks for each of the fairs, and some of it's very nice. Got me one for the Dubai exposition, but the 64 one had always come up for a hefty amount of money, or it was in French or something. And then somebody had one today. I saw in English, that price, bam, got, buy it now, I got it. So one more for the collection.
That was beautiful, Beth.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
those are really nice. Any, again, same sort of question asking Joey, any of those particular favorite, or any story of how you acquired them that's of particular interest?
No particular story. A lot of them came from eBay. Whenever we go to used bookstores, we look. A couple of them came from a used bookstore in this area. No particular stories. And again, I wish I knew what the people what their experiences were like at the fair when they bought these. So I really do like this one from the 1904 fair, just because it has such detailed descriptions of everything. For most of the others are pictures just with a short caption. This one really has some extensive descriptions.
Yeah, Aunt went to Expo 58, and she gave me later her World's Fair stuff, Expo 58 and Seattle 62. And that's one of my prized acquisitions, because I can remember sitting down at the dining room table with her, and her telling me about what she saw there, and all the rest of it. So it was, besides just a book, it reconnection of the memory of somebody. So to anybody else, it's just an old Expo 58 guidebook. To me, it was Aunt Floss's Expo 58 guidebook. So it's just funny, you develop an attachment to things. Great, thank you.
Thanks, Beth.
Kendall, you're waving. How have you been these days?
I've been hanging in there.
Oh, great.
The horse I used to ride, I've decided to give up because he tossed me on the ground 3 times.
Ooh,
And I'm 70 now, so
yeah. The
no more
ground's
of
gotten
that.
harder over the years,
till
hasn't
they
it?
get one out there that I can ride. Anyway, I when I was about I don't know, 6 or 7, I was at Disneyland. This is gonna date me, with my mother. And lo and behold, on Main Street, there stood Walt Disney. Now, this was big because I love Walt Disney, and he was just really everything to me. And I was too shy to approach him. And people were coming out of the Disneyana store on Main Street. They had these lithographs and pictures and stuff. And he was standing there signing them. And my mother wouldn't go for it, and I didn't get it. But 30 years later, I was at an antique store in San Juan Capistrano, and I found a picture that they were selling at the time. Can you see this?
Oh, yeah. White Wilderness.
White Wilderness. It's 2 little polar bear cubs, and it's signed by Walt Disney.
That's really nice.
And I only paid $60 for it. So
Wow.
it's a pretty nice thing. I've got another one of these. It's 101 Dalmatians. So like a lithograph. And he signed that one too. But it's one of my treasured possessions.
Kendall?
They sold this picture in the park through the 60s. But somebody
Kendall?
actually had him sign it.
Wow. Kendall, that must be worth a fortune.
I don't know. My relatives can figure that out when I'm dead. It's probably worth more than $60. It came framed like this. Somebody framed it. And on the back, they put the little printout that says Walt Disney Production. And somebody wrote on it, White Wilderness. I don't know if anybody's ever seen that. But
the pictures you mentioned, like 101 Dalmatians, the studio made them through a process called dye transfer. And they would make all these pictures that you would write in and they would send you. But most people just got like a printed lithograph or just a reproduction. if you were.
That's what it is.
Hey, you got this dye transfer stuff, and they go for a fortune, just the dye transfer pictures, even without Walt's signature. So
Well, it has his signature, and then this friend of mine, who's a Walt Disney nut, it's got some of the same framing on it that used to be hanging in Walt's office. I have no idea. I paid quite a bit for that. For me, it was a lot of money. But this one, it was just at an antique mall, and they were asking $60 for it, and I grabbed it. So
yeah, I keep thinking if I had a time machine, what would I do? And of course, I keep saying I'd go buy a lot of Apple stock. But besides going to the 64 fair, I think I'd go to Disneyland and go to the art corner. Did anybody ever go to the art corner?
yeah, they were selling stuff there, cells and stuff at $2.
Yeah, it was just astonishing. You could go through and they had original cells, and then they had a sticker that went on the back about used in the
Right.
production of a Disney movie. And again, amazing, beautiful stuff. For $1, $2.
Yeah. And now you can't get anything like, I mean, there's a auction house here in California, I can't think of the name, and they have these gigantic auctions. And it all starts at a couple of $100 and it goes up from there. So they sell everything. They sell stuff from
Annie?
Disneyland, old rides, the cars from Autopia, all sorts of stuff, but it's very expensive.
There's guys out here that collect stuff that would make Joey look like a rank amateur. It's like, how on earth do you get a Jungle Cruise boat? Stuff like that. But they know somebody at the park, and so they come up with these auctions. And I mean, Disney sold some of the stuff off, like they sold off a Mr. Toad car, when they decommissioned, and that they used to have an auction business. But some of the, just the signs from the park, and it's one of those things. We used to drive through the back lot area at Disneyland, and they would take down a sign, they would just throw it against the wall, because maybe they would paint over it and use it for something else. And if you took it and threw it in the trunk of your car, and nobody would have ever noticed, then you could go to Van Eaton auctions these days, and you could, retire on it. But it was just stuff in the back, I mean, it was, I parked my car in the back. I could have gone and thrown a hyena or something in when they took him out of the Jungle Cruise, and it was just stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I tried getting big stuff, Bill, but my wife wouldn't let me bring it into the house. We just don't have the room for anything like that. And I once tried to get this prop from the TV show Tales from the Dark Side, and the guy had it all ready for me, but it'd been down in a cellar for a long time, and we said that we're taking it. My wife agreed, and but there was just one problem. When I kicked it, like kicking the tires in a car, about 1,000 roaches came running out of its mouth.
Oh, yuck. Oh, God.
So then I knew at that time, I started to cry because I knew that I knew she was going to say, get back in the car and let's go.
God,
Yeah.
That was the end of that.
This past week, we had a heavy windstorm event here in the San Fernando Valley, and I got called out. I guess it was last Sunday, to do traffic control when a tree came down. So we got there, and it was not as bad as it could have been. Most of the tree fell down and took the weight on the street and on the ground, and there's two cars underneath it, but they looked repairable as opposed to crushed. But I walked over to take a look at the tree trunk to see, how bad it was. And I think the roaches from your New York had moved to California. I mean, the tree had been eaten away by termites, and it was just full of roaches. And it was like, oh my God, it was like something out of a science fiction movie. They were everywhere. And I said, oh, I think I'm setting up my car over here, away from the tree. Disgusting.
Right.
Terrible. Well, it's pretty neat, Kendall. Carol, you might just want to mention our thing with cells, at the studio. You're on mute. You're muted.
Who's Carol?
Sorry about
There you
that.
go.
Carol.
They used to take cells from various films and slash them and throw them away. And we would pass these trash cans that were full of cells, and some of them were pretty nice. And some of them, the slashes didn't affect the pictures on the cells. So we ended up with a bunch that way.
Yeah,
I
they
think
were,
rescue-
Disney was at that time selling them. They would laminate them and put a big seal on it and everything. And they didn't want to flood the market, so they would tell somebody to take the scene. And as Carol mentioned, say it was the rescuers and the mice were walking across the scene. Somebody would go by with a big razor blade, slice and throw them in the thing. Well, the first 10 or 12 might be cut, but maybe down at the bottom where the mouse has now walked off to the right-hand side, the cut has gone through the left-hand side. So we had quite a collection of rescuer mice for quite a while.
Yeah.
And they would do other things. They would take film, they would be editing or whatever. They just throw it in the giant buckets, and then they would periodically take them out to recycle them to get the silver back out of the old prints. And if you just wanted to go and grab yourself a couple pounds of 35 millimeter, stuff and take it home, so end up with all sorts of just rolls of stuff in the garage now of, again, rolls of the rescuers or things like that. Oh, if they hear about my car warranty. No.
Hold on.
Yeah, working at Disney in the 70s was just really a great spot for stuff that they would just throw away. And the dogs. Just looking for something here, as a matter of fact. Oh, I don't know where I put it. They had all the foreign comic books that they would bring in from around the world. So they would have Swedish or Dutch or whatever, and they would basically just check them in to see if the artwork had been reproduced, the colors and that, and then they throw them in a bin to throw them away. And I'd say, can I have it? So I ended up with, I don't know what I was going to do with, 25 Dutch comic books. But over the years, I've said, oh, there's a lot of people on eBay like Dutch comic books or Spanish or some of those things. And they just had tons of this stuff that, you just got used to people throwing it away. And I've got probably 40 bankers boxes of black and white publicity photos in the garage. If anybody collects Disney movies, let me know.
Wow.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I remember that.
Yeah, they
Hey,
had
Bill.
a New York publicity, right with you 1 second, Joe. They had a New York publicity office, and they had all the stills back there for most of the live action stuff. But say Davy Crockett, they'd have 500 stills of Davy Crockett. Well, they decided to close the New York office down. So they mailed all the stills out to the studio, to the Disney Channel where Carol worked, in case they wanted to reproduce any of the stills in the Disney Channel magazine. So rather than take 2 or 3 stills and mail them out here, they mailed out 500. Then they took 2 or 3 out of the pile and then threw out the other 497. So Carol called one day and said, they're throwing out these stills. Do you want them? And I drove over there. I had a Camaro at the time with a hatchback. And we'd open up the car, load it to the top, get the hatch done, go home, put them in my garage, just stack them up, go back, get another load of it. And then for a couple months, Carol sat there very patiently because they had just dumped all the folders. It was just literally a 6-foot tall pile of black and white publicity photos. Carol
Wow.
sat there watching TV, sorting them out and putting them in order. And now they're all in the garage. And if you go to billcotter.com, there's a section you can actually see what we've got in case you want any. But just amazing amount of stuff that they threw out like that. Sorry, Joey.
Unbelievable. Oh, no, I was just going to ask, years ago, I had a chance to get a costume from a Disney film. I don't have too much. I really don't have a lot of Disney here at all. But there was a film called Island at the Top of the World.
Hmm.
And they had a costume from it. And, it was a kind of a bid thing. And I said, well, that'd be nice to have something from Disney. But I was outbid by it. But it was a pretty neat costume. And what I was wondering is, did the costume department, because I know you said you worked near the costume department.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did they throw out costumes, or were they like sent off to like Goodwill or something?
No, a lot of the costumes, it's funny, Island at the Top of the World, a friend of mine bought something at the auction for that. He has the propeller from the Hyperion airship on the wall of his den. What they did was, you had a company called Western Costume, and that was the major costume company for Hollywood. So they would do all the big costumes and like Superman's costume, George Reeves' costume, the Superman,
Yeah.
they would do all that. At the end of it, the stuff would go back to Western costume. Well, Disney basically would get a lot of the stuff and then pay Western costume to keep it. And it was down in the basement of the called the Shorts building, which had been moved over from the old Hyperion studio. And you could go through there and there were just rack after rack after rack of costumes. And they kept them in case they ever needed them for anything else. So do people remember the movie Babes in Toyland with
Yeah.
Annette Funicello? They had Annette's beautiful dresses just hanging there, and they didn't even have like plastic covers over them, so they'd be all dusty on the shoulders and stuff. And a good friend of ours, Stacia Martin, her boyfriend or fiance now, bought one of Annette's costumes from the movie for her for I think a birthday present or something. Again, Disney for a while was auctioning this stuff off, but they just had tons of it down in the basement, and a lot of it just walked out the door. I mean, literally,
Wow.
I'd gone down there and it was full of Zorro costumes. If I was a sort of person who would take things, I could have just picked up and carried out, oh, here's Zorro's cape and Zorro's, whatever. And all the Lancer, they had a whole row of maybe 50 Lancer outfits, the soldiers, so that when they later redid Zorro and Son, the terrible, terrible, terrible sitcom, they were able to reuse the 50 costumes and reuse them for that. So it was, just tons of stuff. And then I forget who was at Disney decided, oh, we don't need all this stuff anymore. Let's get rid of it. So Disney had an auction outfit going on for a while that they were auctioning off all sorts of Disney memorabilia. Dave Smith didn't care about it too much. He cared mostly about the history of the company as far as papers and manuscripts and that sort of stuff. And he figured a shirt is a shirt, a sword is a sword, and so he let them do it. Then somebody else realized, oh my God, what have we done here? And they stopped it dead. So they don't get rid of anything like that anymore.
Yeah.
Bill, I have a friend, her name's Barbie Heath. She's like second in command in costuming at Walt Disney World. And when we were there to visit her, she gave us a tour and through a warehouse that it was unbelievable. I mean, they had all the costumes from all the movies and everything. So it was like they were keeping one of everything where maybe they had 3 or 4. So I'm kind of wondering if the auctions were selling off the extras, because I mean, this thing just went on. It reminded me of the Indiana Jones. You remember when they file away the Ark? But she was like pulling open these, bins and say, like, here's all the costumes from Dick Tracy, and she let us, like put on Dick Tracy's hat and that, and just, yeah, it was just like unbelievable. Just, yeah.
Was this down in
Huge,
the,
huge.
was that down in the tunnel?
I can't remember where we were, but it was just this gigantic warehouse at Walt Disney World. In the studio part where you can go through on the tram and you watch them making the costumes. Well, her office was up on the 2nd floor there with her boss was Jerry something. I can't think of his last name, but he was the head of all costuming. And then she did movie costumes and all the cast costumes, so if you go to the restaurants, and she went to Italy, to design all the costumes for the Disney Magic and Wonder and that kind of stuff. But yeah, they keep a ton of it. So
They say it's the largest wardrobe in the world for any organization. When I worked there, it was down in the tunnel, and it was right next to the 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, the Nautilus going around. And they found out that when they built it, the wall wasn't built quite right, and it leaked, and it would seep through the wall quite a bit. So you would go down there, and as you got closer and closer to the 20,000 leagues, it kind of had a mildewy smell, and there would be all these dehumidifiers trying to take out the moisture that soaked through it. And I was standing there talking to her, the lady that was taking me through it, and I said, what if that wall gives way? I mean, you're saying it leaks. What if it gives way? And she goes, well, then we're all dead. So they now, of course, 20,000 leagues is gone. But every time I had to go in there, it's like I just kept looking at that wall, and I'd have to go and get something, and get out of there. I just didn't want to stay around there real quick. Then my boss pointed out to me that our office was just, 20 feet down the hall, and anything, if that lagoon had come through, it wasn't going to just flood the wardrobe department. Our office was on the way out to the outer side. So sitting there, I used to be on submarines, and I figured, I wouldn't bother me, but just the thought of if I was on a leaky submarine, it would have bothered me. But that leaky wall, it was, ugh. Barry, you had your hand up? Baron, you're muted if you're still there.
Yeah, hang on, Dick. I had to reset the thing, and let me turn on the video.
Sure.
Okay, I should be up. Can you see me? Hello, everyone.
Yeah.
About 2 months ago, in the morning, I got on the local community chat, which is national, called Nextdoor. I don't know if anybody knows it or is said,
Yeah.
but it allows you to get on and browse stuff in your local neighborhood. And as soon as I got on, somebody had posted a listing for sale that said, for sale, $3. And so I immediately responded to it. And as I think I was probably the first one to respond, I said, no, I want it. I'll take it. It's mine. When can I get a hold of you? So she called me back shortly afterward, and we arranged for me to go out and meet her at her home the following morning. And so for $3, she came to her door all masked up, and she handed me this.
Oh, my.
Right. And I said, oh, that's exactly what I said. And now she had posted a picture. She had posted a couple pictures of it, one with including the record, but she had posted a couple pictures of it. And so she handed it to me, and I said, oh my, exactly, and it's in relatively good condition. It's got a little tear here, and it looks like it's been, stored somewhere for 50 years in somebody's record cabinet. So it's got a little bit of wear and tear, but other than that, it's in great condition, as you can see. And I even looked at the record, and the record is nice. The label is still nice and white. There isn't any scratches on it at all. So whether it got played once or twice, who knows? So I said, oh, so after I looked at it, I said, $3, right? And she said, yes. And I said, well, this is great. And I told her I belong to a group that, that follows and studies world fairs and expositions. And I said, I did my graduate work on it. And I said, so let me ask, how did you happen to come about this? Why are you getting rid of it? And she says, well, it belonged to her father. And I said, oh, did he not want it anymore? And she said, no, he's long passed away. And she's been doing, I guess, some house cleaning, some spring cleaning, I guess, of where they were living. And I said, oh. I said, well, this is a rare find. I mean, they handed out, I don't know how many thousand millions of these things, over the 2-year course of time. But I said, it's still a rare find, and particularly for a World's Fair collector and like myself and the others that I meet with. So I said, I'm going to, next time I get on board, I'm going to brag about it for $3. And I said, you don't happen to have anything else, from the World's Fair or anything like that? She says, no, this was it. And I said, okay. I said, well, thank you very much. And I could see she was ready to close the door on me for whatever reason. She was still masked up. So I said, I didn't want to take up any more of her time. So I said, thank you very much. I appreciate it. I'm going to let everybody, know on Saturday what I've acquired. And I just haven't had a chance to get on board. I've got a new tablet here that I've been using. The laptop that I had been using is older, and the resources keep building up, and the processor keeps overloading. So I've kind of been off of it for a while, and I ended up buying an Amazon Fire 10 HD tablet over the holidays for half price. And I'll tell you, it's been a great little thing for the Zoom chats, but I just haven't been on visually. Just because, but
yeah, it looks great. Got a great picture.
Yeah, I thought with today's theme, this would be appropriate. So if you need this for your collection, the going rate right now is $1,000.
It's funny you mention that though, because, as you know, that they were given out, as you said, by the thousands or the millions or whatever. And then after the fair ended, they moved the display to a museum, and the museum still gave them out for years. So I think they made, a lot of those records. So I always get a kick of sellers on eBay, that will put it up there and go, rare traveler's record, $1,200. And you think, yeah, do you have any idea what your marketplace is whatsoever? And I talked about it to one person, and the guy said, all I need is one guy. Wayne,
Yeah.
I think you have some stories about the record of the museum, right? Thanks, Baron. It's pretty neat. And thanks for coming
Oh, you're
back.
welcome. Thank you.
Did
That
you,
is
by the
nice.
way, did you get a big shave or something? You look different.
I took the beard off. I was getting ready to take it off anyhow. I had the thing 13 months. I grew it. Started the end of January, which was when my birthday was a year ago. And I thought, okay, with COVID and everything like that, and it just went, and you guys saw how long it had been. And I said, that's it. On my birthday this year, I'm taking it off. And I even told my mother. She says, yeah, get rid of the darn thing. You look horrible with it. And I said, yeah, it's food gets caught into it, and I really never trimmed it or kept it up. And I needed to look respectable again. So it came off last month. And truthfully, if I ever grow the thing again, I'll be, won't be too soon.
Well, I had a big Hollywood role for you as Santa Claus, and you blew it, but oh well.
Well, I'll tell you, over the holidays, November, December, everybody in the stores would say Santa Claus. And I'd say, have you been a good boy or bad boy this year? I've got your name on my list, and some of them got a little spooked about it, but it's the longest I'd had it in a long time. I can grow a beard and take it off, rather quickly. So for over the years, it's, been nothing, but this time's been the longest I've ever had it. But I wasn't going to keep it long forever. I'm not ready to go, Charlton Heston in, the robe or anything like that. So
You look
anyhow.
very distinguished. Thanks. Wayne?
Yeah.
Yeah, the discussion of records reminded me that I found some things occasionally on eBay that I never suspected existed. For example, Chinese Lunar New Year music from a Republic of China pavilion.
Wow.
That's
That's the
interesting.
first time I've ever seen that. I mean, Randy Treadway has posted all sorts of record albums from the fair. I've never seen that one before.
And that this is the companion Chinese classical music.
Now, have you listened to them?
Yeah. And they're okay to listen to once, but
Right.
Yeah, that's about as
actually,
many times as I would ever listen to it.
I had one business trip to Hong Kong for TV standards work, and they put on a wonderful river cruise, and they had a Chinese orchestra that played Chinese country music, which actually was quite nice. It wasn't anything like what you think of American country music, but it was simpler and more melodic than what you normally think of.
Yeah, it's neat. I've got a few of the records from the fair, like the Continental, Soldier one, and the Ferd Graf one, a couple others, but I decided not to go down that rat hole of collecting World's Fair records because, as Randy would post these things, here's the, I'll just make it up, the Baldwin High School Band record playing at the New York State Pavilion. And you think you get that. And then, here's the Freeport, Long Island High School Band at the New York State Pavilion, that sort of thing. There was just so many these esoteric things, and they weren't just from New York. All of a sudden, it'd be the high school marching band from Chapel Hill, North Carolina, that sort of thing. And I just said, I can't go down that hole. So thank you for getting them. If you ever want to digitize them and share them with us, we could see if we could sit through it someday.
There's one that I was outbid on a year or two ago, and I haven't seen it come up on eBay, but that's the program from the American Express Pavilion.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if anybody has one of those, but the price on the one on eBay just went up and up and up, and I haven't seen another one.
It's interesting. Tom made comment on it too, about how some records just go insane. And look, Disney put out these records for the while. They were promotional records where they would say, like, have an announcer talk to Dean Jones about that darn cat. Well, Dean, what was it like working with a cat? And then he would come back and, well, the working with a cat was really great. And the idea was you could take your own radio show and I could pretend I was talking to Dean Jones, and I could say, hey, Dean, how was it like working with a cat? And he would talk back. Those have been going for insane prices lately. Just absolutely, it's like, wow. And again, this is the sort of stuff they just threw away because after the movie was out, who wanted a Dean Jones talking about a cat record? So the studio would just throw out everything they have. Now they're going for insane amount of money. So probably the same thing with your American Express. Thanks, Jason.
Thanks, Bill. So I've got a few things I thought I'd share that I picked up since the last show and tell. Last summer, I went out to, they call it the world's longest yard sale because that's the trademark name, even though it's not the longest anymore. But the 127 yard sale from Michigan down to Georgia. And I picked up a couple of World's Fair things. Here's some Expo 67 postcards. And I thought these were neat. The Century of Progress Expo, these are sewing kits. So they have needles and thread inside.
Oh, that's neat.
The best thing I found there, I guess I put it away because I couldn't find it today, was a counter display of 1982, and it was still full of pins, lapel pins with the World's Fair logo on them. I also recently picked up this 1200 Roses program with the Unisphere on the cover, and this was the year Walt Disney was the Grand Marshal. So there's a nice picture of him inside with Mickey Mouse on the car. And then most recently, I went to the Dubai Expo. Brought back some goodies from there. So I'm going to shine a light. This is the shirt I got with the Expo logo on it. And then you mentioned the guidebook, and I picked up one of those.
How'd you enjoy Dubai?
I mostly only did the fair, so it was nice. I ended up walking 16 miles a day, according to the app on my phone, which my wife said, I'm surprised you didn't die of a heart attack.
Wow.
But I got to see everything, which I was concerned about. But it was a lot of fun. I don't know if I need to go back, but I'm glad I went. Got a commemorative medal.
Is it really hot there?
It wasn't, because I went in January.
Oh.
So it was like 75 to 80 degrees every day. It was about what we get here in the late spring. So, and I had a couple of people over there tell me, well, it's a good thing you didn't come 2 months ago. And it's like, yeah, that's why I didn't come 2 months ago, because they said that in July over there, it was like 120, 130 degrees.
That's what I heard. Did you take a lot of pictures over there?
It's funny because somebody asked my sister, you think he's going to take pictures? And my sister just laughed, because that's what I do. Everywhere I go, I take tons of pictures. I ended up with about 4,500 photos. Wow. And I've been going through, and I think this weekend I'm finally going to get them finished up and hopefully posted somewhere, so I can have them up for the last few days of the fair. And when I do, I'll post that link to the community site.
If you'd like to host one of these events on a Saturday and talk about your trip and your experience, I think a lot of people would be interested because most of us were not able to go there for a wide variety of reasons. But you know, seeing the pictures I've seen of it looked like it was really a real treat for the eyes from an architectural point of view.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, now I will say that the outside of the pavilions sometimes were a lot nicer than the inside. You know, you'd see all this architectural work, and then you go inside and realize that they forgot to put something in it.
Yeah, I was just the other day, somebody said the exact same thing. By the way, people are putting in the chat, we need Jason to do a presentation. So please take us to Dubai some Saturday.
I will take a look and see what I can cobble together.
No, it was funny though. Somebody said the exact same thing. They got to a so and such pavilion, they walked through the front door and they said they ran out of money for the inside. You know, I mean, you know, shows that, you know, we're just totally lackluster in this amazing building. Interesting.
Yeah, it was. Some of the insides were a lot better than the outsides, and some of them, just like you said, you walk in and it's a beautiful building, and you walk in and they've got, you know, 2 pieces of poster board on an easel, and that's the entire display.
Wow.
But I'll skip a few of these. Maybe I'll run them into the presentation. But the one thing I most wanted to show here was something my dad gave me for Christmas last year. But I'm gonna have to share the screen because it's too big and heavy to bring to my office.
Here, let me promote you to co-host, and you can share the screen, sir.
All right. Can everybody see?
Yes.
That's
Oh,
the,
wow.
Wow.
Yeah, it's the plaque off the State of Maryland Pavilion from the '64 World's Fair.
Wow.
And we even got the paperwork that says that yes, we didn't borrow it from the site, that it was part of a museum collection and they were divesting it. So that
Wow.
was,
How heavy is that?
it's extraordinarily heavy, which is why I couldn't bring it up here. My dad actually, when he was bringing it to the front door for my mom to wrap for Christmas, fell with it. And so my mom has a big gash in her kitchen floor now, and my dad threw out his shoulder for Christmas.
Oh, God.
But yeah, it currently resides in my garage.
Oh,
Wow.
that's really neat. It's
It's beautiful.
yeah, Mitch, who's joined us on some of these, has from some of the other pavilions. But boy, that how big is that? I see. Looks like a jug or something behind it, but it looks like it's a pretty good sized plaque.
Yeah, it up to about, I don't know, just above my waist. So I want to say that it's probably about 4 feet tall, 3 feet wide,
Wow.
somewhere in there. Yeah,
And
it was bigger than it looks in pictures.
And is it made
Beautiful.
of bronze?
Oh yeah.
Boy, it's just lucky somebody didn't take it to a scrap yard and melt it down.
Well, that's what they were going to do. My dad served for a little while on the board of directors of the museum that had this, and knew that it was in storage, and told them if they ever wanted to get rid of it, and they said, well, if we ever get rid of it, we'll just melt it down for scrap. And you know, okay. So they had a volunteers appreciation event just before Christmas, and they said, you know, we have a special presentation. You know, Frank, come on up. So my dad came up and they said, we know you've wanted this for your son, and you know, we're getting rid of it, and instead of melting down, it's yours. So
Wow, that's really great. You wonder how many of these other things are in basements or, you know, whatever. That's great. Thanks for sharing it. Now all you need to do is you know, get it up on a wall someplace. In my house, the wall would probably come right down. So great. Anybody else have anything cool they'd like to show off? Derek.
Let me get my video going here. Okay, I brought a few little goodies. Hopefully you can see these. I might have to get some auxiliary light here from my phone so you can see them because the fluorescent went out. There we go. Let's see. Can you see it any better now? This is a first day cover that I bought at a World's Fair, like collector's bourse that was being held at the museum.
When
So,
would that have been?
1990-ish.
Oh, I was probably there and didn't run into you. If I did, I didn't know it.
Probably something like that. But maybe I'll scan it or something and put it up. I also have this fun ticket for the
Wow.
for the Ferris wheel at the Big Tire. If Uniroyal ever decides to bring that back, I'm ready for them.
You know, don't you look at that and wonder why somebody didn't use it? You know, I mean, why did somebody keep it and not just go for a ride?
I don't know. It's like, why do people have unused Beatles concert tickets? It's like,
Yeah.
what happened there? Okay. All right. So here's my I have seen the future. This was something that I also got at the World's Fair Bourse. It's an unused, it was like, there was like a box of them that somebody had, some dealer had, and this is the 1955, 65 official souvenir picture book from the fair that Dexter Press put out. And it was completely unused and brand new.
On those, just so you know, there was a guy that was a giant World's Fair collector, and at the end of the World's Fair, he bought basically all the unused stock from all the souvenir stands that he could, and he was getting those for cents on the dollar. He had them up in this guy's name is Peter Warner. He had them up in Nyack, New Jersey, and he lived in Nyack, and he filled up the barn on the family property, and he had so much stuff he went to other people and filled up their barns. When he died, the family wanted to get rid of it, and the guy that did the auctioning of the estate said on that particular book, he must have had something like 5,000 of them sitting in this barn, brand
Oh, I
new,
believe it.
untouched, you know, beautiful. So when I went to the auction to buy stuff, and it was like one of those things. The auctioneer was saying, take some books, you know, take some of these. And you go, no, I already got some. Because you don't understand. I got to get rid of these. I can't give them away. And he was filling dumpsters with them. It was like, I got to get on an airplane. I got to bring the stuff back. But he's literally throwing them into dumpsters because he was tired of having them fill up his warehouse.
Oh my.
Great books. Does your smell musty?
Not really. This one doesn't smell particularly musty. It's got a very slight yellowing in spots from age.
Right.
It doesn't really smell funny.
Oh, good.
Now, unlike many of you, my parents did not take me to the fair in '65. They were out for my uncle's wedding, and they left not quite 3-year-old me with my maternal grandmother, but they did bring me back Sinclair stuff. So they brought me back a Sinclair dinosaur and this swell souvenir booklet from the fair. I don't have the little green brontosaurus anymore, and I haven't broken down to buy one on eBay. But I'm ready for the next fair. I've got my visitor guide and map to New York, so I'm ready to go there. I have the official souvenir map, so I won't be lost when I go to the next fair. And then here's the official Flintstones comic book. So that's always kind of fun. The 65 souvenir comic book. I also got this cool pin at the collector's Bourse.
Wow.
A friend of
Nice.
mine bought one that says he was a VIP, and he decided to wear it on the subway when we were going back from that event, and there was some strange mentally ill person who looked at it and pointed to it and said, "That's not real." I also have some World's Fair postcard folders here. These are kind of cool, and they made so many of them. They're easily available on eBay for less than 20 bucks in pretty good condition. Let's see. Here's another World's Fair cover, but this one is from the earlier fair. So
It's from both fair. It's got both the Trilon and the.
oh yeah, you're right.
Unisphere.
I didn't see that. I just saw the Trilon and Perisphere. So this is first day. This was celebrating them all. So this is from the Bourse, April 29th, 1989. So I was pretty close on that date.
Yeah, I flew all the way
This
back
was-
to New York for that, and it was a great event. Were showing movies from the fair in a theater. They had a couple of speakers come in, and that's where my interest got started in the 39 fair, because my mom came out to the Bourse with me. As we walked through the grounds, I kept saying, "Oh, this is where GE was, and this is where so." And my mother said, "Oh no, this is where Italy was." And you know, she had all the memories of the 39 fair and kept talking about it. And that's went back into the Bourse, and there's people selling 39 stuff. So, oops, that was the start of that. Did you ever go to any of the shows at the Adria Hotel?
No,
Anybody-
I was only out there, I was only
Yeah,
out for this one particular bourse because a friend of mine lived in Brooklyn and he had mentioned it was coming up. And so he kind of invited me out to visit. So that was kind of why I was out there. So
Where were you living at the time?
I was living in Michigan.
Oh, okay.
I specifically went to visit my friend in Brooklyn, and we hopped on the subway and went to the bourse.
It was wonderful. I bought so much stuff back there. It was great.
Yeah.
Joey, did you go to the Adria Hotel?
Yeah, I went to most of them, and I met a lot of people there that I know are on the World's Fair sites. And I did go to the original festivals that they had at the Queen's Museum, the original fair. And one of the greatest things, you mentioned the movies, they used to show films in the theater. And one of the greatest things that I ever saw was they did a screening of To the Fair. And after it was over, they asked a girl in a red dress to stand up in the audience. And it was the girl from the film,
Cool.
the one that looks like Marlo Thomas,
Yeah.
Yeah, and she actually came there and we all cheered, and it was a great thing to see.
Well, I have to tell you, I was actually there for that. So you and I were there together.
We were
Sorry
there
to
together.
deter you there,
This is
Derek.
my last item for today. This is from the 39th fair. It's the Ford exhibit for the 39 World's Fair. And it's kind of a neat little colored booklet. Let me see if I can unfold a little of it. You can kind of see inside, it's got like a painted aerial view of the fair. And on the back, it's got here's our wonderful Ford lineup that you can get. So that's kind of I have a suspicion most of the stuff I showed you I bought at that particular show, because that was sort of the beginning of my collection. The only stuff I think World's Fair stuff I had prior to that would have been related to the Chicago World's Fair stereo cards, and a couple of the large bound books that had photographs from the fair that were, lithographic book picture reproductions. So I have a few of those, and I have an extensive collection of pictures from the 1893 fair as well as the 1904 fair. So
Great
There's a guy
stuff.
that does a show every year in Chicago, a memorabilia show about World's Fairs. And I've wanted to go to that, and I'm sure I'd be coming home with a ton of stuff. I just wish they would bring the New York ones back. Anybody go to one of the Chicago ones by any chance? You've gone to the ones there, Wayne?
Been to, I don't know, 2 or 3 or 4 many years back. And the size is varied, but the items they have are always interesting.
Yeah.
And some of them they've also put up continuously running videos of the fairs.
Yeah, it always looks great. I got to get there someday. I meant to say thanks, Derek. That's interesting. It's because I know you have a fair amount of stuff, no pun intended. It's always interesting to think about it and just start thinking. I mean, I was there when they did the to the fair screening. So little did I know I was in the same room with Joey, and I was probably standing shoulder to shoulder with you, trying to peer over tables and
yeah.
I think that's where I got my special guest or whatever the tag is signed.
What was great about those shows, the Queen's Museum and also the Adria, is you could find some really rare stuff there if you really looked. Like interesting stills. I got a lot of 8x10 stills, and it was nice. And you made a lot of friends there.
Yeah, they were fun. I just trying to see if I could find something here real quick. 89. Let's see. What might I have? Where would I put those? World's Fair Show. Boy, it's amazing how many pictures I took over the years too. I didn't do 4,500 or anything at, well, somewhere I have pictures of one of those shows, and I'll have to come up with and take a look at it for a future one, because there were a couple of them. I don't see I have 89 here, but maybe 90. Yeah, I'll find them later, because I took pictures walking around at some of the displays and that. I'll look for them. It'd be kind of fun if we see any of ourselves. Well, I won't see myself because I took them, but I'll come up with them on a future one. Maybe we'll see a young Joey or a young Derek standing there and, fighting each other. Mine, I want it, I want it.
And it's funny, Bill, at that same screening to the fair, they were showing lots of clips from Peter Warner, I believe, and a guy named Ephraim Horowitz, who was sending me lots of videotapes of all the films that he had done at the fair, and just films that he had made in the 1930s. He was making his own movies at that time. But what was interesting, at the same to the fair screening, someone, I don't know if you remember, they had a representative from Clark and Rapano who had designed, I believe they had designed the Unisphere.
Mm-hmm.
And someone told a story about how one rainy night in New York City, there was like a gale force wind, and the guys building the Unisphere decided to play a joke on the chief architect. So they told him that they woke him up out of a deep sleep late one night, and they told him that the Unisphere had blown off its little tripod and was rolling through the park. And I'll never forget that. That was just, everyone just burst out into laughter. What a great practical joke.
If I was that guy, I would have killed them. Hey, Don, I'm gonna let you chat. I'm gonna run off into the garage and get something. So take it away.
All righty. I have a rather large variety of things today. We'll start with the very smallest that I just dropped. Hold on. There it is. This thing is itty bitty. My only souvenir, of course I didn't attend, was a souvenir from the 39 World's Fair. Westinghouse had a exhibit featuring Electro, the robot, and I have, if you can see it, let's see if I can put it on there, Electro pin from that display. They're not hard to find, but I got this for like $3. Buy it now for $3. Like, yeah, sure. So it's itty bitty, but it's cool to have. You can't see it, but above my monitor is a display of all sorts of retro robots, models and things. So he sits up there hanging out with the other robots. Some of you may have attended my Texas Expedition, 1937 Expedition. I have the official guidebook from that fair, which is actually fairly humorous. It's really poorly written. And most of the pavilions hadn't even been built when they wrote it, so it's semi-accurate. What I love about this is it contains an ad in it right down. Let's see if I can got to work with the reversal on the camera here. There it is. If you look right, come on, over here. There we go. There, right there. You'll see an ad for what's called the Mineral Wells Hotel. That building was the ultimate luxury hotel at its time, located in Mineral Wells, Texas. It's been abandoned for over 50 years and widely rumored to be haunted, but it's kind of neat to see the write-up of what it once was. They're trying to reopen it again. Moving on, also from that World's Fair, while I was looking up, I bought a bootload of postcards. I'm still collecting them. I'm going to get all the postcards. That's my goal from that exposition. But one person also offered me, as part of that, this juice glass from the exposition. I'm not sure. I guess that's a day when we didn't drink much juice, because this is barely almost a shot glass. That's a fun thing to have. And he also threw in, without telling me, I was very surprised, a Hemisphere's ashtray, which is, cool. But, when you're talking about eBay sellers, this guy was really cool. He apologized that the package was late. When it didn't arrive on the day it was supposed to, I started getting daily updates. He was tracking it where it went to. Apparently, he sent it from New Jersey, and then they sent it all the way to New England, back to New Jersey, up to Michigan, back to New Jersey, and finally down to Texas. We don't know what was going on. The Postal Service was having a fit. But on a completely different, this is not a souvenir of anything, but it's kind of cool. Actually, I bought this just when we were starting these 2 years ago. When you were starting these, Bill, I noticed that Harper Goff artwork was available for really cheap. So I got a Harper Goff original right here. And yes, it's acrylic on a card. They were selling these for $50 a piece. They had like 70 of them. There are still 3 left. This on, of all places, the Van Eaton site where you can't buy anything reasonably priced. This was amazing. The 3 that are left are pretty much garbage, but I really treasure this. I've got to get it hung up in our living room someday. But yeah, an original Harper Goff. It's not the best piece of art in the world, but I like it because he painted it.
That's beautiful.
It's really nice. I like it. And our living room has an Asian theme, so this will fit right in there. I gotta stop touching the front. My wife, the librarian, will have me shut. The last piece is probably the most interesting, and since we're talking about remnants of buildings that were torn down, 2 trips ago, my wife and I went to Las Vegas, and one of the 5 original mega resorts on the Strip was the Riviera. If anyone remembers the Riv, it was a big resort, and a lot of well-known people performed there. Well, the Riv was being torn down, and they had a sign out that said, auctions, come on in, buy what you like. And the scary thing was there were people buying mattresses and beds from this place. It's like, I don't think I want one of those, seriously.
Yeah.
But I was wondering, literally, you could find anything you want and just pick it up and take it to the front desk and ask them what they wanted to pay. So I have a bunch of Riviera stationery, things like that. But as I was wandering through, I was looking for the big showroom, and one of the people working there said, well, you're looking for the big showroom. You don't want to go there. You want to go to the original showroom. And sure enough, there was a showroom that was much smaller, but that was what was there when the original Riv was built. And that's where all the big names performed originally. Sinatra, Liberace performed there a lot, things like that. So I went in there, and it was all dinner theater seating, right? So you had all these booths, and on the wall, they had these, I got to pull back so you can see it. There we go. They had these sconces.
Wow.
These were from the original era. This one's been retrofitted for LED lighting, but it is the original lighting from the Riviera Ballroom where all those big names performed.
Wow.
So I actually have 2. One is in pieces, and I'm trying to reassemble it now, but this one hangs in my living room. So a little bit of Las Vegas history. I'll pull back. It's actually quite large.
That's beautiful. Wow.
It's cool. So I was, and I think they charged me $50 for 2.
Okay, that's great.
Yeah, I mean, we happened to be there that day, and they were tearing the Riv down. I didn't want a bed, so I bought a light.
For $50, they should have threw the mattress in too.
It makes a nice little mid-century modern addition to our living room. It's got some history, and I took pictures where it hung, so I'm going to print that up underneath the light. So anyway, that's it for me. Just some miscellania from all over.
Pretty neat.
That's great.
I thought about something when people were talking. Joey, if you would you be interested in the door that was at the entrance to the Underground World home?
Yeah, just tell me where and when to pick it up.
I actually got an email this week from somebody who said her father worked on doing the demolition of the Underground World home, and he took home the door, and it's been on their house, and they want to get rid of it. So I will give you her contact information.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, I thought this was some sort of elaborate joke on Joey.
No. So
you were going to say he has to go to a certain point and start digging.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's what I was waiting for. Although I am scheduled, when they do dig it up,
I volunteered to be the one to be lowered in.
Right. I'll send you
Yeah.
the information. I haven't had a chance to answer her back. Now,
Okay.
Beth, I think you mentioned one of the books you said had a pop-up in it. Did I hear that right? No? Does anybody collect pop-up books or things like that? Just mention it because I came, this is,
I do, yeah.
this here, again, I got the background on it. It looks like a little folder here with a symbol on it of a flame. And that's from the Knoxville World's Fair. And if you open this up, it's a whole little pop-up folder, which is, of course, disappearing. But if anybody collects pop-up items, this is pretty neat. It was done before the World's Fair. Preview the future at Knoxville's International Exposition, celebrating humankind's latest inventions, that sort of stuff. But if anybody collects pop-up stuff and they would like one of these, drop me a note and I can help you out on that. And if anybody went to Expo 92 in Spain, there's this neat little, it looks like a little folder. And when you start opening it up, it gets to be a bigger folder. And you open it up, it gets to be a bigger folder. And finally, it's a giant map, which is this.
It's disappearing, Bill, to
Yeah,
your background.
it's disappearing. I don't want to turn it off and show you the whole terrible office. But if anybody went to Expo 92 or just collects World's Fair maps and would like one of these, let me know. I've got a ton of these out in the garage. Again, Peter Warner collected all this stuff, and I ended up buying a large part of Peter's collection. So I do not need 20 copies of the Expo 92, preview map, that sort of thing. But if anybody does want one, just drop me a note. I want to look for one other thing I forgot when I was in the garage. So if people keep chatting, I'll be right back.
Great stuff, everybody. Wow.
That's been a cool session this time.
Yeah, it really was. Yeah, we should do this more often.
Oh, yeah. So how much space in your house is taken up by building remnants, Joey?
Well, not much. We live in an apartment, so we've got one big room for all that stuff, and nothing in the refrigerator or the cupboard. There's no movie props or anything like that, but yeah, hopefully we'll get more space eventually. We're looking to move eventually, and hopefully we'll have a lot more space to display stuff.
So when you closed the barn, did you have to lose most of that stuff, or?
When we closed the original, a lot of stuff was damaged in the move.
Mm-hmm.
So we had to scale down quite a bit, but nothing got sold or anything like that. I gave a lot of stuff to various places, museums and film places and stuff like that. But most of it came with us, and we had to all unbox it. And the same thing will happen if we move from here. Everything will have to be, basically everything has to sit on your lap in the car. Really, you can't. Yeah, you can't move stuff like that and expect it to survive the trip.
Sorry, I'm back. I had a box of items from the SS United States.
Oh, wow.
And I got they had an auction that went on for that. And you talk about things going for a lot of money. They came out, basically a guy bought the ship, gutted it, and his idea was to sell everything off, make enough money to refurbish the ship. But I mean, he took everything out, the walls, everything other than the floors.
Yeah,
and they came out here for a display of items in LA before the auction. Carol and I went, and I had hoped to get some, I was trying to get a set of the Chinaware for my dad was in the shipping business, but it was just way too expensive. But they had these little gift boxes you could buy, and then it had a key ring and the key for a cabin and a ashtray and luggage stickers and a whole bunch of other stuff. And I've got it somewhere. I stuck it on the shelf in the garage. I didn't see it. But they are also selling blankets for the deck chairs And I bought it, and my dad ended up using that on the blanket for his bed until he died. It was his favorite, you know, again, the silly little things you buy that mean so much to somebody, again, being in the shipping business. But I forget the cabin number, but if they ever rebuild the SS United States, I've got the key to go into one of the rooms. There's no walls or doors in it anymore, but it's kind of a neat bunch of stuff. The you know, unused baggage tags and other odds and ends they were selling off. I'll find it for a future one. Anybody
I buy
else?
that ship a lot. I'm waiting my sisters. It's sad. It's still sitting there, but it's so sad to see it just, you know, sort of, they're trying to preserve it, but it's in sorry state right now.
Hey, Beth, you were holding something up?
Yeah, this says it's a passenger accommodation plan from the SS United States. It folds out and shows like the layouts of the different decks and where all the cabins were.
Oh, wow.
That's pretty neat.
Yeah, I think I've got a couple of menus too. These are sealed up, but I think they're menus. I'll have to pull those out sometime.
My dad, again, I mentioned my dad was in the shipping industry, and he and my mother loved to take cruises because they would sail off, and my brothers and I would stand at the pier and wave goodbye, and they could get a week to regroup their sanity. But they were in the United States, and they said it was just an amazing ship, real adventure for them. So to see it sitting there in Philadelphia is just it's painful.
Yeah,
Wow.
it really is.
Yeah, but hey, could be worse. It could have been recycled already. You know, as long as it's there, it's still a hope that they'll do something with it. So
Yeah, the conservancy for it has been around for a long time. They don't seem to be going anywhere, but they are keeping it afloat. There's still hope.
yeah, it costs a fortune just for the docking fees.
Yeah, I can't believe they can afford to keep it docked there the way they are.
Yeah.
There have been several attempts to put it back to sea, but nobody wants to sail in a ship like that anymore. And the safety standards have changed so much.
Yeah.
It's just never going to work.
Well, hopefully it'd be made a hotel or something else. So if you want your own ship, the USS Clagamore is for available. Did anybody hear about that submarine? It's at Patriots Point, and they decided they don't have the $4 million to refurbish it, so they're going to scrap it. It's unfortunate. Veteran submarine, but again, they said keeping something in salt water for 40 years takes its toll. So as much as I'd like my own submarine, I'm going to have to pass on it. Well, there was the guy that showed the pictures of it. He was at the Chicago World's Fair with his own submarine. I think it was the S-10, and they had a surplus sale, and he bought the submarine, and the Navy thought he was just going to, you know, cut it up for scrap. And it wasn't in the contract that he had to do it. So he just started sailing around in his own submarine, taking it to things like the World's Fair and giving, you know, tours of it. And then when World War II hit, he was sailing around in a submarine and kept getting mistaken for a U-boat. And people were like, I just saw a U-boat, you know, on the Great Lakes. You know, they were the Nazis invading. So he sold it back to the U.S. Navy so they could use it as a target for, you know, exercises. And it ended up sinking accidentally, and now it's a big dive site. But yeah, he had his own submarine and would just go sailing it around, and he'd pull into your town and put up a table and charge tourists for you to go. And when everybody in that town had seen it, he'd, you know, close the hatch and sail it off to the next town. So.
Wow.
Different world buying a World War II or well, I guess it was a World War I submarine he bought. So, well, I hope people had fun today showing off their things, and it was pretty neat. Jason, if you could take us to Dubai sometime, it would be pretty neat. I did look through the guidebook, and I thought that was a good, really exhaustive guidebook that they did for it. So, looked like it was great fun. And Beth made me want to go and start scanning all my giant oversized volumes that I've got sitting there in my spare time, right? So, well, next week I may do the Disney mid-century modern one. I'm still trying to get the other guy, and he was all set to do it. And now he's in Germany, so that's the trouble. Building theme parks, you go where they're building it, and he's building one over in Germany right now. So I will, again, if anybody has any particular topic or issue that they would like to come up with on future ones, please let me know. Carlos mentioned, by the way, in the chat that he missed the ability to chat with others. So I think that if people behave themselves, which they did today, and if we can keep out, people we don't know, I will probably be able to turn the chat back on for next week. Because I know people do like to share thoughts or issues going on there. I need to send somebody one chat here before we go away. He's asking me a question and I need to give him my address. So 1 second here. Because if I disconnect, he won't see it. So I'll be right with you. How's the weather in everybody's part of the country today? We're supposed to get 1.5 inches of rain starting tomorrow, which we're going, ooh, hope so.
Huh. It's raining here right now. Yeah.
Is it?
Yeah, and it's funny because right after Don talked about hail, it started to hail right here.
In Salt Lake City, it's 80 degrees. It's an all-time record high.
Wow. Wow.
We were out yesterday. Let me just see if I can find a picture of that real quick. It was it's been really hot out here this particular week. It's been yesterday we were out and it was 94. And it's like spring came in really nice, and all of a sudden 2 days later summer was here. So just look for this. Here we go. Yeah, let me just share screen here real quick. Where's that little button? Share screen.
In a moment here, just also the Great Salt Lake is at 1,200-year low.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
Oh my God.
Yeah, this was yesterday, 94 degrees directing traffic around this mess. But the nice part was we had 3 years ago a really bad fire in the area, and this whole hill burned out totally. And now it's really nice. There were hawks overhead and some coming down into the bushes, and the whole hillside just full of these yellow flowers. And I didn't capture in this shot just off to the left for a whole bunch of lupin and stuff. So it's really nice when the state is not having an earthquake or it's not burning down or anything. It's a lovely place to live. So the hills behind us, Carol was saying yesterday, we were walking the dogs, how they're nice and green, and they'll go to brown like that overnight. But with 1.5 inches of rain coming tomorrow, we're hoping they stay green for a little while longer. So, well, good seeing everybody, and appreciate the show and tell stuff. And it's very interesting. Between us, we all have quite a few things, don't we?
Oh,
I got more stuff too.
Oh, show us next time.
I got a lot of Disneyana.
Yeah, well, it's neat stuff, and just too bad you didn't have the nerve to go over and talk to Walt.
I know, that's my big regret of my life, because I loved him as a kid. He was wonderful. I think he'd been really nice to me too. I don't know what my problem. Well, I know what my problem was. I was just too scared to approach him. He was really neat to see. I still can see him.
Yeah,
Lovely man. He had on a blue suit.
Yeah,
Wow.
he certainly made a hell of a change in all of our lives.
Yeah,
didn't
he really changed the world in a lot of ways.
Yeah. Well, great.
Bill,
Yeah.
I was just going to say an interesting idea for a show. Another show would be maybe old movie theaters, like local movie theaters, or from everybody's city, or
If
that might
people
be
have
an
pictures of them, yeah. I mean, I think some of those old movie palaces are fantastic.
A ton from Route 66. I only showed like 2 or 3 on my presentations out. Bunch. So.
I know Beth and I have a collection from the New Amsterdam Theater that's in New York City.
Oh, wow.
And maybe we can do something with that.
That would be great. Scott just mentioned in the chat. Did Scott, you have items from the World Trade Center?
I have a couple of things that more or less people did pick up from the ground. There were a lot of T-shirts. Firefighters love T-shirts as long as they're blue. And I have a few of those. A couple of challenge coins. from around that time.
I have about maybe 30 boxes of matches from the Windows on the World, because my dad was a member up there. So I don't smoke, but they were really neat books of matches. And every time I would go up, I would just grab some, bring them home. And ever since the thing came down, I haven't felt like putting them on eBay or doing anything like that. But yeah, it was. I have a couple odds and swizzle sticks from the bar, stuff like that. Again, he was a member up there, so we went up to dinner. Carol will remember this. We went up there. We were supposed to have dinner at Francis Tavern. Remember that for my grandmother's birthday?
I'm saying, aye.
Yeah, it was one of those things. When Francis Tavern was bombed, my father had been walking down the street, and he was a volunteer fireman, so he ran in and helped rescue people, and they gave him a really, really nice scroll later on for thanking him for it. And it's my brother has it now at his house, but I thought, oh, it was my grandmother's birthday. I think she was turning 80 or something. I thought it would be really great to go back and have a nice dinner. So we got reservations at Francis Tavern, and it was the worst dining experience that we ever had anywhere. The whole thing, if I told you the whole story, you'd say, no, he's making it up. But in one part, my grandmother...
We never got to dinner, did we?
No. My grandmother had asked for, like, I forget, whatever, something, whatever this drink was, neat, right? So it comes out on the rocks. So I said to the waiter, excuse me, she wanted this without ice. And he said, well, she doesn't want ice? Fine, she doesn't get ice. So he took the glass, poured it through his fingers into another glass, got it back in the glass and said, here, no ice. And that was,
God.
God.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Oh yeah, and we had all sorts of other stuff, and people at another table had ordered wine. Well, he brought the bill with their wine, and they said, we wanted the wine with our dinner. And it was like, well, you got the wine, you're paying for the wine. So I went and I complained to the manager about this ice incident, and I came and I sit back down. The guy was walking by me, says, you're a fucking asshole. And I said, that's it.
Oh my God.
So we walked out of there and we had dinner at Windows on the World instead. But Carol can tell you, you could not get out of your chair to go up to like the salad bar or to the ladies' room before they would refold your napkin and have it all set. I mean, they must have had 20 napkin folders just on duty at Windows on the World. So Carol was like, she'd dart over and come back and then there'd be the napkin ready to go.
Wow. That's really interesting. Bill, I've heard stories about Francis Tavern not being the greatest place to go to. It's very, very historic, but I don't know if it's the greatest place to eat at.
Yeah, I mean,
They've had issues there. There've been a few issues there.
Yeah, but this is just the worst dining experience I've ever had anyway. So Carlos has to go. I guess he dropped off, but since he can't chat in person, he said, Carol, tell you I said hello. Carol and Carlos are always chatting during these things. So we know Carlos from the Boy Scouts.
Joey, have you ever watched the El Capitan history on YouTube?
No, I haven't.
Look that up. It's just absolutely fascinating. That's the one by Bill and Carol, that the Disney owns. And to go there, it's just such a great experience, because they have the organ player, and they always have like an extra act or something, like a magician or something. We went and saw Frozen there, and they did ice carvings, and it's just really a fun experience. And it, and the history turns out it was originally named the El Capitan Theater, and then it went, I think it became the Orpheum and some other name, and it got owned by different franchises and stuff. And anyway, this YouTube thing shows all the restoration that's been done, to bring it back to its original glory. And
interesting.
I think you'll love it. It's really, really cool.
Oh, that's
my wife and I took
interesting.
a tour of it when we were there last, and the tour is drop dead amazing. Almost no one knows that you can do it, Just go up to the box office any day you're there and ask for a tour, and they'll take you through the whole dang nap thing. It's wonderful.
Carol and I, the fellow was giving one of those extra performances, Greg Wilson giving a magic show before the movie Tomorrowland. So he asked if we would like to come out. And Carol and I, they take you through the dressing rooms and everything. And they said, hey, how would you like to walk through the organ?
Mhm.
And the organ is big enough that you're stepping over things. And all I could think was if I slipped and, made a mistake. But there's one thing in the El Capitan, documentary. They didn't get, they got a lot of pictures of great things, but they didn't get everything. So I'll show you the one shot that they missed.
Oh,
Oh,
I
that's
remember
beautiful.
that.
That's beautiful. Wow.
I told
Very
Carol
cool.
I wanted to go out for a day and let's just get for a drive out of the house and get out of just go for a ride and we'll go around. So I thought, let's just drive down into Hollywood, see if there's anything going on there. And I had this timed because I had worked it out with the theater exactly what time it was going to be up on the marquee. So we came walking down the street and my friend Mike was out there videotaping. Again, Carol didn't know any of it. We're driving in the street and I said, I wonder what's playing at the El Capitan. I wish I had the picture of the look on her face when she saw it. So.
Oh my goodness. That is so beautiful.
True love.
Bill has done some amazing things for me. That's one of them. And the other one was having Randy Rainbow. Do you know who he is? Any of you?
Yes,
Yeah,
absolutely.
he's great.
He does videos. He's very gay. He does amazing songs about the political universe, basically, anti what was going on. And I really liked him a lot. And Bill got him to tape a message to me after my surgery, I guess, a message to me. And it was just, I still have it on my computer and I play it every once in a while.
Oh, that's so nice. Carol, you're blessed, Carol.
I
Yeah,
am.
that's so
I am.
romantic, Bill. That's lovely.
Puts up with a lot. No, I've always had a thing for trying to, surprise people. And I think one day I got my dad good I was talking to my mother. I went to school not too far, 20 miles from the Canadian border. And I called home to Long Island and my mother said, oh, my dad's up near your way. He's up near Montreal. He's singing Wally Low. And I said, oh, I wish I knew they were coming up, and they said, yeah, he's in some small town of so and such today. And I said, okay. So I got my roommate from college and we drove up to Canada and I had found out he was in a meeting at town hall. So we sat there long enough that a policeman came up and asked what we were doing, staring at City Hall for 2 hours. And I told him I'm waiting for my father. So my father came walking out of the restaurant, the City Hall, and he and Wally were walking on the street. And Bob and I just fell in the step behind him, and he had no idea we were there. And he's walking down and saying something, well, it was a great meeting. It went really well. Where do you want to go to dinner? And I said, I don't care as long as they serve steak. He turned around. I thought he was going to have a heart attack. He had no idea that, he's in another country and I'm standing there walking down the street behind him. I said, look, I'll do anything to get a free steak dinner. So
And then there was the cruise we went on for your 50th birthday.
he got me back, or Carol got me back on that one. I was turning 50 and Carol asked, what would you like to do for your birthday? And I said, do you want a big birthday party or do you want to go on a cruise? And so I thought the Disney cruise would be kind of nice. It'd be kind of fun to go on. And so we booked it and everything, 6-9 months in advance. And we're coming down we flew to Orlando, coming down the escalator to baggage claim. And so I have to see which baggage claim we're on. There's number 1, there's number 2, there's mom, there's dad. What the hell? She had booked my parents to go on the cruise and they had kept me from knowing it. So the first I knew they were there, they was like totally out of place. We're in Orlando and there's mom and dad standing at the bottom of the escalator. So we would try to outdo each other with some of these things. And that worked out. That was a great cruise. The Disney, 2 days before the trip, had seen my name on the guest list and asked if I would give a talk on the boat. And I said, yeah, I'll be glad to, and I think maybe that we'll get to meet the captain or something. And then the day before they said, hey, could you do 2 talks? And I said, well, yeah, I can, but it's my birthday. I mean, do I get anything out of this? You know, I thought maybe a bigger cabin. I said, oh, we didn't tell you we're sending you for free. So I said, oh, that's a good deal.
Wow.
And it worked out really nice because we'd be on the ship and they would make an announcement like Bill Cotter's giving a talk in the theater today. And my father was just going around, that's my son, he's doing it. And he was so proud. It just made the whole crew so much special. And I thank Carol again so much for arranging to be there. So it was great fun. So occasionally over the years, you have some great fun. You do some great things. So, but the trouble is now, every time I say to Carol, hey, why don't we just take a drive someplace? She said, oh God, what's he done now? So, but no, she deserves it. She puts up with a lot of my silliness and, you know, between all the nonsense I collect, or I've got to go out at 2 o'clock in the morning to go look for a lost kid or something. And I'll see when I get back. She's just an angel for this stuff. So. Well, thanks everybody for joining, and we'll see you next week. And,
Good to see you. Thank you.
Good to see you, everybody.
Take
Good to see
care.
you.
Bye,
Bill.
everybody.
Yeah, thank
Thanks,
you.
Bill.
Everybody
Thanks,
stay
Bill.
safe. Well,
Bye, Beth. Bye, Kendall.
bye-bye.